If x over the absolute value of y is equal to -1, which of the following must be true? So if we don't know much about x or y, and they're asking us what must be true, so let's just think of what are the properties that we know about absolute value, as well as just fractions, I guess. So the most common property that you should know about absolute values is the absolute value of anything has got to be greater than or equal to 0. And in this case, because we are dividing by the absolute value of y, and you can't divide by 0, absolute value of y has just got to be greater than 0. So absolute value of y is positive. We know that. And so if we're taking some number x and dividing by a positive and we get a negative number, x must be negative. So to get -1, what does that mean? So x and absolute value of y have to be the same magnitude, but with different signs. So we could have something like -5 over 5, or -1 over 1, or -2 over 2. And our top and bottom will be our values for x and absolute value of y. So remember, this doesn't necessarily mean y has to be equal to 5. It could be, or y has to be equal to 1. It could be, but it could also be -1, or -5, or -2. So based on this, something like x and y got to have equal magnitude, because it looks like we're trying to relate x and y. So remember, we're not relating x to absolute value of y. We're relating x to y. So we got to deduce what absolute value of y tells us about y. So something that says x and y just have to have the same magnitude, because we don't necessarily know what the sign of y is. We just know the sign of absolute value of y. So does x have to be equal to -y? No. This will be the case for x and absolute value of y. But remember, so in this case where x over absolute value of y is equal to -5 over 5, y could still be equal to -5. In that case, it would be equal to x. So that doesn't have to be true. This doesn't have to be true, because even though we could have that, we could also have y is equal to 5 and x is equal to -5. X is equal to y squared. No, that would only be true if they were equal to 1. X squared is equal to y squared. And so this will always be true, because when you square something, you are only taking into account the magnitude of that number. So if x is equal to -5, what does that mean? So that means y could be equal to 5 or -5, but it doesn't matter because -5 squared is equal to 25, and both 5 squared and -5 squared are also equal to 25. So they will always be equal. And then here, this doesn't work because when you raise something to an odd exponent, an integer to an odd exponent, it's going to retain the sign of its base. So if x is equal to 5 and y is equal to -5, x cubed will be 125, while y cubed will be -125. So that doesn't work. D is the answer.